welcome our audience. Will be high. Yeah. Now we are all here, as I can see. We have got Mr. Atilla Tuna from Antonina Turizm, Miss Karin Åberg from Lulea. We have Mr. Joebert Opulencia from Orienttours, and Mr. Nasir from Naboodah Travel. Everybody hears well?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
That's good. That's good.
Good afternoon.
For America, good morning, isn't it, Mr. Joebert?
Yes, it is.
Very early in the morning. We are a little
And
bit
it's
lucky.
my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, I have questions for all of you, and I'm planning to make it as a round. Each question once in a round, I will be asking. And if you let me, I will be starting with Mr. Atilla Tuna. Yes, Mr. Atilla. As you know, our topic is a new trend in the world, emotional tourism, experience, gourmet, and adventure. So I would like to ask you the first question. How do you create Instagrammable experiences that increase brand loyalty and make your guests want to come back from iconic landmarks to authentic local experiences?
Well, to everyone from Istanbul, I'm greeting all my colleagues here in this, and hope we will have a great panel and have a great success. Regarding your question, first of all, I would like to point out that our goal was not to be very famous in Instagram or to make high profits when we set out in this. When we began to create Instagram experiences, the first thing is to create the reason of the existence of that we have made. Our reasons, our act in accordance with our vision and missions. But although we have, suffered from some jobs in the last 23 years, some of them there have been a success, some has not been. But when you do not give up your mission at any cost, you're considered to have reached your goals, right? So that is one of the most crucial parts for us. Right. Then you must bear the responsibility of the customer and the people who believe in you and deliver their dreams. That is our motto, actually. Follow your dreams in our company. Then you shame your and please your clients so much that you should that they should thank to the office when the tour is over. Mm-hmm. In recent years, I think there were some concepts such as the customer experience, customer journey. For example, there's been a change in the marketing values. Now we are in 4.0 life. The individual being in the center and the honesty. Those are the prerequisites of being Instagrammable, actually, for us. Mm-hmm. Then we can add some other values such as desire to learn, empathy with the guests, exceeding customers' experience expectations, and then we are finally coming to a point with an experience economy of the guests, which is actually the most crucial part of the Instagrammable point. I don't know how many minutes do we have per person.
Roughly, you can think about like 5 to 6 minutes per question. It's going to be enough.
Okay, so that means that I have 5 more minutes. Great. There are some concepts that we are actually structured our Instagram policies. The first is the customer experience, which is the sum of all interactions that customers have with a company. I mean, the experience that occurs after these interactions actually is affected by 2 critical points. Those are phenomena. The first is the expectations of the customers, and the second is the service performance on the ground perceived by the customer. And which is not what the company offers actually. The difference between the perceived performance and the expectations of the customer is actually revealing the experience which is created in the customer. This is the first topic that we find very important. Then the experience, the customer's experience, designing of the service. The company, when we're producing the product, thinks about the experience that the customer will actually experience during the service at all touch points, and thus actually does not necessarily work in the experience. And the designed experience must be in line with the company's brand promise, which matters for us the most. Well, other concept is, which we found very important, is the customer's journey, which actually is bringing us an important feedback. Because this journey are the steps and feelings that actually processes drawn in the companies to the customers. And the customers experience the product and our services of our company step by step, like a journey. And afterwards, they're moving step by step. And finally, the experience, what it matters overall. The experience is when people actually no longer pay for the service, but they pay for the experience. I want to give a very interesting sample regarding this matter. For example, the coffee. I mean, coffee is a commodity, and which you can find everywhere in supermarkets. But when you process the coffee beans and making them ready for brewing and selling them on the shelves, well, that's something else. And then when you're serving this product, you go a step further. Well, actually, this is the phase when people, they order and they go to a coffee shop and they pay for that. So actually, people, they pay for this service. And this is the stage where we are actually standing at as a tourism company. So today, we are in the stage where people, they're not looking only at the service, but the most important point here is, following the production, is how we feel in this. And how we feel before, during, and after that service. And how do we connect it with our brands? That is what I think it's experience. I mean, for example, people, they're paying much more money for a cup of coffee in Starbucks, whereas the next door, you can drink coffee for half price. And so why do they do that? I mean, I read a book about this of the CEO of Starbucks. He was saying it's not about the coffee itself. There is something else. And actually, to make the difference in this, that's actually the crucial part of it. And finally, the user experience, whereas the emotions are coming in importance. The customer's experience, behavior, and feeling while using our services is what it matters. I mean, it's not like before. I mean, designing and planning and building the product, that's very important. But the experience of the customer is the thing that actually it matters. As a result, I would like to say that in the past, everything was product oriented. We were producing something, and that was important as a product, right? And then there was a transition to a consumer-oriented marketing. We were very important for the customers. I mean, why we were oriented for that. And finally, we are now considering to do a human-oriented production, because people are asking whether we are loyal to the locals when we go and experience something, whether it's environmentally friendly, right? And so all this matters. So people want to touch the real thing. wants to feel the service and the product. And for this reason, people do not want anymore to have the feeling of being a customer, but being part of experience, right? And this is actually the production that will make the future, and must be, as a result, be more human-oriented and, of course, sustainable.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And Miss Karin.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you well. So nowadays, tourists are now bored about having a program like Vienna, Budapest, Prague, kind of congested tours, so to speak, which I am also agree with that. And they prefer places that create memories that they can tell their child maybe 40, 50 years later also. And in short, it is emotional tourism. Do you have works for those who prefer these tours depicted with experiences or gourmet and adventure? And what does he expect when his guests arrive in Lulea?
Okay, I used to say that traveling and making memories has not only to do what the sights and adventures you experience. It's also a lot of about the people you meet. And I think that people arriving to Luleå in Swedish Lapland could expect to share some of our Arctic lifestyle and a genuine experience, not feeling like a tourist. And that's maybe the thing that I call emotional tourism. It could be something that for us living here in our daily life, as for example, I go skiing, I go ice skating on the frozen sea base around the city peninsula of Luleå in my lunch break in the winter time. And that's not so special for me, but for a visitor coming here, that's could be a lifetime experience. It could also be like go out in the woods, making an open fire and grill a sausage, or meet indigenous Sami people and take part of their daily life as a reindeer herders. But it also could be going out in the dark evening, listening to the totally silence with no disturbing city lights, and to look for the aurora, the northern lights. And if you are lucky, you will be able to have this memory that will maybe last for a lifetime. Even if me living here, I maybe doesn't do that, because that's my everyday life, and I will have this chance another time, or the next week, or the next month, or the next year. But for a visitor coming here, just to share my everyday life and my lifestyle together with the visitors is what we think that is the most benefits that a visitor to Swedish Lapland can experience. Could also be like gourmet. What is gourmet always like the caviar thing or something like that? It doesn't need to be that. It could be like going out in the forest, picking berries myself, and they are like really ecological because they are growing wild, and I could pick them and bring them to the chef in the kitchen, and I could maybe fish my own fish in the river, and I could bring it to the resort kitchen, and then they will prepare it for me. Or maybe I will have a guide who's learning me how to prepare this. And this is not so unusual for me who's living here, because nature and this kind of life is natural. I have grown up with that. But if you are living in a big city like in Istanbul, for example, that could be a huge difference because you have never experienced. So I would reflect on the former discussion about coffee, making your coffee. It's making my coffee. It could be like I'm going out in the woods hiking, and I could make an open fire. And it's not unusual for me to making up a fire in the woods. And I could cook my coffee over the open fire. And that's maybe the best coffee I have drank. And so that's about touch and doing the real thing, I would say. So for me, that's emotional tourism.
That's true, indeed. Nowadays, we are just thinking from our own selves also. We would like to taste something of the local where we are going indeed to visit. as you say, in Istanbul, we have got limited time also for ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Joebert, we'll come to you early in the morning. We are sorry to disturb you, unfortunately.
My pleasure.
So, what would you like to say about emotional tourism as a person who has traveled to many countries, eaten different foods, and interacted culturally?
Okay, emotional tourism for me applies to people or individuals who have experienced broken relationship, uh, several relationships that have not worked and couldn't find the right partner in life. So their tendency is just to leave the world that they are in. They normally travel from different places without having a specific partner. And they just tend to do anything that pleases them for the simple reason that it would give them time to forget what they have experienced. Emotional tourism is basically new to certain countries, and that's why it's right now it has not really become very popular at this point in time because of the existence also of online dating systems. So this one are competing with each other. As far as gourmet tourism is concerned, then definitely Turkey is one of the top destination for this. You can't beat a good Turkish meal. I'm Filipino by origin. I live in New York, but I've worked with Turkish companies for the last 34 years. And
quite a long time.
Every trip that I make to Istanbul and the other cities amazes me on the food that I taste. And adventure tourism, then definitely there's a lot of sites Turkey is able to extend to everyone. Of course, there are hard and soft adventure, and Turkey has everything to offer. But I'd like to touch also on the first issue that we had, posting on online media, such as Instagram and Facebook. I have a 3 rule on anything that I post, because you could either hurt or break someone, or make their dreams become a nightmare. And those rules are, whatever you post, just be true to yourself. You know, be true to whatever you post, because it affects everyone. It can be a good one, or it can be the worst one. And then whatever you post, deliver it, especially with travel agents, you know, deliver what you have promised or what you have posted. Lastly, put yourself in the shoes of the crowd or the group that you're trying to attract. And in short, just be sincere. That's it.
True, true. Indeed, nowadays, especially the number of the influencers are also increased throughout the world. We can see easily that they are just shooting the same photograph of the same place with the same type of, how can I say, posing and posting it. As you said, it is very important to have some rules for yourselves, and also not repeating with the others. That's very important. Okay, so now the turn is for Mr. Nasir. Hello, Mr. Nasir. I have got a long question, so I hope it's going to be easy to follow up. Okay. Globalization, which entered the market as a new breakthrough in the concept of holiday, caused differences in mission and vision studies in the sector. When the missions created in the old conditions were transformed into new ones, it was inevitable that there would be a change. While the shortening of travel is something that will get better in this regard, we can consider the blunting of the vision by walking is as negative. In other words, as in every field, the benefits of globalization in the field of tourism can be evaluated as negative and positive. So what do you think about that?
Okay. Once again, good afternoon and good morning, everyone. And I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in this panel and share my views and my opinions. Before I give my opinion, I would like to share my agreement with Karin. I've been to Lapland, and every single thing you mentioned is worth experiencing, and it's a wonderful experience, and I think nobody should miss it. So I would like to vouch for that. Now, the question is very long, as you said, and I'll try my best to answer as much as I can. Globalization in tourism had a major impact on the fields of economics, technology, culture, ecology, and politics. So globalization has spread around the world and has imposed its own rules and methods to work. This has resulted in both positive and negative sides of the globalization. The increase in the movement of citizens has led to the positive effects of globalization, especially in tourism. It has made the movement of capital and people easier, which has led to the rise in number of tourists. It has reduced barriers for movement of goods, capital, and also people. This is why, and that is why there has been a rise in the number of tourists across the world. Apart from good sides, globalization has also been criticized. Migrations, abandonment, and extinction of regions are one of the dramatic examples of how globalization also has negative aspects. Migration leads to the decrease in the number of skilled people, which is a threat to the poor countries, or if I may say, the underdeveloped countries. The process of globalization have a major impact on the values of a country, such as family, nation, and cultural identity. Every country has to incorporate rules and barriers which will prevent the disappearance of their traditional values. The first step is tourism, which, if it is organized accordingly, can restore the old values. Pre-COVID, travelers were unaware of the requirements of the destination and would mostly rely on the online available information. Post-COVID, current scenario, the dynamics have changed, and globalization is the need of the hour. To get first-hand information of the destination, holiday bookers need to contact the DMCs and ensure all the information and services required are in place. They will certainly pay slightly more, but they will ensure the comfort of their trip. So I'm not talking about negativity about the online bookings. I'm just sharing the current scenario in the market and the level of people, passengers and customers' confidence. So once again, pre-COVID, customers used to consider direct or indirect flights, regardless, which suits their budgets. They used to do their homework by searching online and selecting the destinations, flight options, accommodation, and then visit the agent to compare the rates and take the necessary decision. In the current scenario, due to the flight cancellations and border closures, a lot of customers have either lost their money or it is very difficult for them to get the refunds for the purchases they have done online. So due to this loss of confidence, they feel more confident with the presence of a physical travel agent who can guide, assist in case of disruptions. However, people will prefer short-haul flights now, direct flights, and they will avoid the indirect and long-haul flights or connecting flights to avoid the double exposure at the airports. So the emotions, the requirements, the adjustments of the customers and passengers have dramatically changed, and I believe this will continue for a very long period. And we are still learning. All of us are adjusting and learning. And I agree with Mr. Atilla, as he said, stay committed with your brand promise. I really like this comment. I appreciate this comment, and I think we all need to do that.
True. True, indeed. I was also thinking the same way as you mentioned, especially long-haul destinations. Without having a direct flight, will have bad affection afterwards, after this, maybe even this post-COVID situation. Okay, we are going good in the pace. So I'm going to be passing to the second round in the same order. And again, Mr. Atilla, we have the second question for you. If we can keep the pace, I have a bonus question for all. So every destination needs to take a good long look at brand promise. I mean, that's really true. Update your website, content, social messaging, and advertising only after you have done a meaningful brand audit. Do you know how and where to begin?
Well, that is a tough problem, actually. And when everything changed to digitalism, actually, we didn't know. But as a company that attaches importance to education and a learning process, I'm an archaeologist, and I've been working all my life in the fields and in the dust, in Ephesus, Troy, all those things. So I'm very keen on learning, and the learning process. We have been working the last 3 years with a business coaching firm with international branches with American origin. And because in recent years we felt like this, there were many questions that we cannot get answers in this. I mean, what is digital marketing and related to this? And we couldn't get answers for months and for years. So that's why we decided to change. Since working with the best in the field is one of our most important values in our company, we decided to work with an expert in this field. So this process caused us to realize and understand the concepts that the world has been talking about and has been discussing for many years. So coming to your question, yes, I mean, we didn't know where to start from. I mean, that's frankly. But we learn passionately still today, and we are determined to do better. In addition to, I mean, sustainability, which I've mentioned in your first question, our corporate culture and values. We started the establishment with a young team that understands the language and technology of the new age, because we are speaking differently nowadays, and we were speaking differently. I started in tourism 35 years ago. I mean, I started with telex. I mean, maybe some of my colleagues will remember this. I mean, I was typing telex. You know, come on. I mean, who knows about telex nowadays? We forgot about the fax, which was very active some 5, 6, 10 years ago. And now we are emailing, we are WhatsApping, and we are doing many other things. So we have to understand this language. But many of my team, they were not capable to adjust with the time. So therefore, what we had to do is just to change the team. And that's why we decided to have a young team that understand the language and the technology of the new age. And then because we have values and we believe what we do, we have to adjust for the completely new system. Anyway, we are renewing our webpage, and we are establishing our new CRM and ERP systems. I mean, in order to maintain the customer experience, I mean, we create and we're producing. So we're preparing ourselves for the next 100 years. This is our 23rd year in the business. So we have completely abandoned the traditional marketing channels. No more newspapers, no more magazines, no more telephones. You know, everything is now digitalized, and we are now we are reshelling ourselves in everything. So we are using new channels. We are trying to learn and optimize the rules and the new conditions of digital marketing. And that has to be done with a new team which understands the language. I mean, also still today I have difficulties to understand some phrases, you know, in this marketing, which I find it very exciting. Well, I mean, no satisfactory short-term success, I believe, can be achieved. I believe in the future in tourism because it is a period when the rules and claims will be crystal clear. All the rules are clear. It was not like in before. I mean, we are advertising in newspapers, and we don't know how many calls we're going to get and how many feedbacks from the. And now with Google Ads, we know exactly the customers' movements. What are they reading? What are they listening? What are their achievements and everything? So it's crystal clear for in marketing business. So and after this pandemic, I believe a very, very sensitive period. Are coming. Everything will change. We're just on the edge of a huge revolution. I mean, we are doing the online talk now. I mean, 2 years ago I was the speaker in the hall, and now we are talking to each other.
Unfortunately,
very, very exciting in this new age. The metaphors will be very, very important in the speeches, especially in marketing. Information not only clarifies our field of vision, but also enables us to see much more clearly. In our company, we base our corporate culture on learning and getting informed. Personally, I believe that human beings are actually born with blind vision, no vision in the beginning. So each information we learn, it enables us to see more clearly. One information, one lens, second information, second lens. Actually, every piece of information we learn enables us to get a really sharper view. So more information will be like birds, seeing from the skies and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, I was not knowing that you were an archaeologist. So indeed, tourism industry in general owes a lot to the archaeologists. And as I can see, I mean, I am tracking your mentality. I mean, looking to the points of views. You're still having the archaeologist mind while doing your tourism business now. I mean,
Yes.
one step, you know. Exactly. Okay, Ms. Karin, my second question to you. There has been a fundamental shift in travel, especially within the leisure segment. Consumer confidence is at an all-time low now. And how do we shift the consumer's mindset in these unprecedented times?
I would say that communication is always the key. People want to know how things are working right now in the local destination, since these times are so unpredictable and everything is changing from one day to another. So actually need to speak to someone who is living at the destination and how is it working? Are people using masks in when you go in a store or on a restaurants, etc.? They need to know this everyday life experience how before they visit. That's one thing, and I think there also are many more or less unknown destinations that will be explored when people start traveling again for future travelers. And I think there will be a positive effect that the less crowded destination, but places and destinations that still have a good developed infrastructure and that are easy to communicate with, good healthcare and etc., that you will feel safe to travel to, because people might be not willing to get in the crowds again in the same way. It will be maybe have a behavior, change their behavior during this pandemic. For example, in Sweden, and we are like living in this uncrowded area and country, and the thing that's stopping our domestic traveling at the moment is renting a cabin in the woods. It's a little bit to go away, spending time with your near and dear, your family, and have like this quality time. And as perhaps people are looking for this feeling of a home away from home. And you know, a home is always, for the most people, a safe place. And even if a home could be totally different, because depending on where you live, of course. But maybe if a visitor will, knowing that they will get this home feeling, or actually a hostmanship that we call it, maybe the people will feel more confident about traveling again. And also this smaller scale tourism might also be the thing for the nearest future. So that could be increasing the interest for certain destinations, we think. People are longing to travel again, but they might be looking for the less crowded places, and maybe also more nature tourism related destinations, I think. And places where you could offer some space, and we can do that here, of course. I also agree about the former comment, is to stay to your brand promise in your communication and be digital, because that is really, really important. Use all available digital channels, I could say. And also to agree with Attila, Tuna. We have also skipped almost all traditional printed marketing, all digital now. And we also use a lot of storytelling. The story might be the thing that you makes want to travel to a certain place, and is to get your own story to tell when you come home and you tell your friends after arriving home again. So I think storytelling, communication, digital, and actually communicate how is the situation right now in your destination. That's my answer.
That's good. Indeed, in Turkey, especially in Istanbul, we have got like 15 million recorded inhabitants. People are afraid of going into public transportation. Making them again back to tourism will really take some time. Understandable. So, Mr. Joebert, my second question to you. We are talking about future, but how can we look ahead into 2021 when we have no idea what the world will look like next week?
Are you asking me?
Mr. Joebert.
Okay, sorry.
To be honest, I'm still trying to explore the answer to that one, because every day there are changes that we are getting, and we just have to adjust ourselves. We talk about a lot of things in the market right now. Tourism is really not in the same position as we envisioned. 2020 was supposed to be a very nice year for everyone. I would presume that everyone in the panel right now and other people have been to several travel shows, webinars, and Zoom meetings. And we talk about hotel safety, destination safety, marketing. But we have missed two important things that would help us eventually when things settles down. Number one is, how do we convince the public to travel again? And number two, how do we convince the traveling public that flying is safe? If I have to go to each of your destination, then I need to fly. But this subject matter is what we have missed. And I hope everyone, in the industry would start thinking about it. I might be crazy for saying that save the industry and open up. There are countries that think that the moment they open up, tourists will start running to their places. They are afraid of influx of tourists, which will never happen because at this point in time, people are scared to travel. Even the ones that could travel are just staying home. And this will be the biggest hindrance if we are not able to find a way to convince the public to travel and to fly. There are a lot of things that are being being discussed right now, but there is one thing that I would like to see other countries do. Without hesitation, Turkey opened its border to tourists during the summer. I have seen the purpose. I have discussed why, and I have questioned it too. And I got one specific answer which, stayed in my mind. You cannot protect people and forget about economy. You cannot forget about economy. You cannot protect economy and forget people. You just have to hit it straight and hope every move that you do is for the best of everyone. And there's a lot of things that has to be done. I was thinking that other countries would follow what Turkey did. In all my talks right now, I'm advocating open up, because whether the country is closed or open, somebody is bound to get infected for not following the rules. If you require the tourists coming to your country to have a test 72 hours before leaving their country, and then carrying an insurance that covers COVID, and then having a swab upon arrival at the country, then how things, some things could go wrong, but at least, little by little, we're uplifting the industry. As it is right now, the industry is falling apart. Probably in certain countries, yes, it's still intact. But in other countries right now, a lot of people are losing the job in the industry that they have served for 20, 25 years. A lot are suffering, no money, even food. I live in a powerful country, they say, but for the first time, I feel I'm living in a third world country. You see people lining up in Brooklyn for food. When did this happen?
True.
And if it goes on like this, then I don't know where the industry is leading. That's my own opinion. Respect it. You might have your own, but for me, tourism is our life. Let's save it. Thank you.
True. Indeed, during summertime, I was in Rumeli Castle, one of the historical places in Istanbul, with my wife. And when I see the Russian and Ukrainian tourists who came to Istanbul as a tourist, because we opened the door, I was about to cry, seeing the tourists coming to the country, thinking that the tourism industry is backing up, to the old days. I was about to cry and going to be hugging them almost. So you're right. I mean, we have to save the tourism industry in a way. And if people will be catching this virus, they can catch it anywhere and everywhere. Prevention is not only locking down the doors of the countries. So, Mr. Nasir, the last question to you is, let me see. Going to the beach and taking hikes in state and national parks were so last summer. Ski resorts are facing complications now. There is limited access to museums, live sports and cultural performances are unlikely to be open at all. So how do urban and suburban destinations market to people's passions in the post-COVID reality?
Right, thank you so much. Before I answer, once again, I have a very long question. So before I answer my question, I want to comment on what Joebert mentioned, and I totally agree with him. These are the sentiments which we are carrying here, and I believe the whole industry has the same sentiments and views. And I also want to add here that keeping in mind that opening up, not blindly, but before a country has taken, or after the country has taken the maximum possible precautions and implemented strict policies and procedures in place, and they educated the people. It took them some time to educate the people and accept and adjust according to the current scenario. Then they opened the country for tourism. So please allow me to say that UAE is one of the countries that is one of the first countries which opened and which was declared as one of the safest countries to travel. And I want to confirm to you, all of you and all the listeners, that, for example, for the month of December, most of our luxury hotels and other hotels have almost, they are almost sold out. So there are huge number of passengers coming in. So this shows the confidence of the people, as long as we, as Karin said, we communicate with them. As Atilla said, we should commit to our, stay committed to our commitments. Then you will definitely gain the confidence and people will start traveling. For you come to UAE, again, emotional travel you were talking about, you get friendly service, homely atmosphere, perfect weather nowadays, especially, otherwise a little bit warm or warm in summer, but a lot of activities to do, perfect shopping. Shopping is also related to emotions, you know. This is a gateway to the world, and there are about more than 100 nationalities living as residents here. You meet them and you experience their service when you come to this part of the world. And I believe in every country they have some specialty, and that can attract the people. Ireland is another country which is coming up outbound from UAE. Philippines has always been considered as a business market, but now it's coming up as a certain parts of the Philippines coming up as a very good destination because less crowded, as Karin mentioned. Turkey, certain parts are still less crowded and absolutely good to travel. And I can assure you a lot of people are even now traveling to Turkey from this part of the world. Africa is coming up again, it's because less crowded. So that's, I wanted to, plus another very important point here is we talk about the customer, the consumer, the passenger confidence. I think we all agree that the moment the vaccine is in place, being human beings, we, within the next 3 to 4 months, I think we will just leave it behind and we will start traveling again as good as ever before. So going back to the question, I believe geography isn't simply urban versus rural. There are also broader regional population trends at play. The suburban sprawl of many developed world cities since World War II has caused a plenty of problems. I think we all know the history. From the temporary breakdown of global supply chains to the emptying of once very, very busy streets, COVID-19 hugely changed the way to navigate the urban environments, and not for a short term, it's a long term. With the coronavirus set to reshape the urban landscape for decades to come, the world takes a deep dive into powerful potential of the disease to mold our metropolises, the past, the present, the future. A pandemic-proof megacity, one that can accommodate millions of people without encouraging the spread of virus. Besides millions of individual lives, COVID-19 has also attacked the very concept of the city life. Anything within the urban area that relies on close human proximity, mass transit, medical infrastructure, or that backbone of metropolitan culture, that face-to-face economy may change in many ways. The countries may look into, or companies may look and break it down into smaller urban systems, remote workings, understanding the consumer approach, deconstructing demographic dynamics. Young consumers are nowadays moving towards city centers. This is the other way. Regional migration is fragmenting the consumer base. The consumer is more educated now. It's not like 30 years back, and is spending differently. People are buying homes and getting married later. They are not in a hurry at all. The economic divide is deepening. The consumer base is increasingly diverse. Economically, the modern consumer is under greater financial pressures compared to the consumer, as I said, 30 years ago. This is particularly evident among low income, middle income, or millennial consumers. Consumers are delaying key life cycle or their milestones, from the marriage and ownership to having or home ownership, or to having children. These delayed milestones, especially among the millennials, have implications on the consumer behavior. Talking about travel once again, people want to travel. People miss traveling, and they are locked down. They wouldn't mind any destination, whether it is beach, snow ski, lake, mountains, as long as they are able to get out, as long as the borders are open, as long as there are places with healthcare, with infrastructure, and they are declared safe. And again, I hope the vaccine comes in place very soon. I'll just give you an example. Recently, there were two destinations were open, Seychelles and Maldives. And the flights to both the countries are full. So that means people are hungry, people are ready, people want to travel, as long as they feel safe. At the same time, the ticket fares are doubled compared to what it was in January, pre-COVID. There are other destinations opening from this part of the world, Ukraine, Armenia, and so on. However, the COVID-19 will likely have permanent or long-term effects on the way we work, the way we live, socialize, and move about. The world will be different. COVID-19 will likely have permanent effects on the way we work. What we'll be craving in a post-pandemic world, urban living may be replaced with remote work in suburban or rural areas. There will be plenty of changes when it comes to the question that you have asked me, that I'm trying to answer now. With the coronavirus set to reshape urban landscape for decades, to come. The world takes, as I said, a deep and a powerful dive, and they are planning to make a lot of changes for us. When it comes to, again, travel, there will be, in my opinion, there will be three categories of customers. The one who experienced the staycation. Staycation in UAE has become very famous. I'm glad to share this, that the people in UAE did not stay put. We couldn't travel outwards, so they in the 7 Emirates, there was a lot of movement, and people went for holidays from one Emirates to the other Emirates. So our local room rates and occupancy rate was really very, very high during these days. So there will be 3 types of people, 3 types of customers. Whatever we have mentioned, whatever we have said, besides all that, I believe these are the 3 categories which are there now, and which will be there post-COVID and for a very, very long time. These are those people, one, who have experienced the staycation. They felt safe and enjoyed it without spending much. They will continue with the local holidays for quite some time. Number 2, the customers who still prefer to travel, but maybe short haul and safe destinations. They will still travel. They will be selected. Number 3, there are customers who will still travel regardless of distance, duration, costs, and anything else, as long as the borders are open and the countries are declared safe. They will still travel. So I'm talking about from GCC market, these are the experiences that we have seen, we have, and these are the surveys that we have conducted. And based on that, these 3 categories, at least from this part of the world, will continue. And we have the inbound and we have the outbound travel started from UAE at a very, very good pace. And I hope this will be the case with each and every country that we are talking about. Thank you.
Well, I think Mr. Çağrı is gone, and hope he will come back. Let's take a picture, for a memory.
Please, let's share it. Okay, let me take a picture as well. Here we go. Come on.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back.
I will be in the picture as well.
Yes, I got
Sorry,
you.
the line is a little bit
Yeah.
problematic.
This is the new black. to
Exactly.
document your digital meetings.
Exactly. I would like to thank you all. It was a really nice conversation to know you and meet with you all. And Miss Karin, I have got several friends in Sweden as well, and one of them is only in your location, if I'm not wrong, born in your location, now in Turkey.
Okay.
She's a Swedish. So
maybe I know her.
yeah, most probably. So I would like to meet you all, inshallah, hopefully, in the future, face-to-face also. We are based in Istanbul. Maybe Mr. Atilla and I can welcome you all again. Thank you. I will be closing the session.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Honored to be invited.
You're very thrilled to call. I have 2 companies. One is Daily City Tours, so you can just make a call, message. All of you can be my guest. We can take you around.
Thank you
you.
so much. We
Yeah,
will be seeing you soon, and I'm coming to Lapland. In my last trip, I missed the Northern Lights. Can you believe we traveled all the way? We were there in the snow for 4 days. We enjoyed every single moment.
Going your way, Karin.
and we missed it. So we are coming back, and we are sending a lot of customers. We are going back to Philippines, to Boracay. This is one of the best destinations to go. And definitely our flights from here to Turkey and to US and everywhere else, they are really, really getting full. And I'm proud to say that, and I wish the same for everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I would like to say that the only time I have been to Istanbul, I experienced perhaps the best hostmanship I have ever experienced. It was a great experience, and I felt so welcome.
You're always welcome.
So I hope I will come back.
You have to visit. You have to visit UAE, all of you, and I'll be your host. Please do let me know. And I must add, whenever I go to Turkey, I come back with 3 to 4 kgs extra in my body. I eat a lot there. Best food.
Okay, I wish I wish all the best for everyone. Stay safe and healthy with your family. And if anybody is coming to the Philippines or to US, I'm here.
Thank you, Joebert. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Teşekkürler.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.